critical, important issues. I'm sorry, but where do we go? I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Yes. Has anybody demonstrated how everything is going to be regulated? I haven't seen. Jordan is my home, it's my country. But I have not seen that we are able to regulate pollution in Jordan already. I don't see that we can regulate the trash and garbage and things that we have in Jordan. I don't see any regulation in households that are who are disposing of batteries that are going into our landfills, that are going into our water. I don't see that we have the expertise to regulate what we have the laws in place, but we are not following the regulations of the laws. Besides that, I don't think we're really discussing what we're going to do with all the nuclear waste waste materials that we're going to have, which is I would say that's as an important component of building a nuclear reactor. It is what's going to happen to all that waste material. If we can't demonstrate that we're capable of taking care of batteries, how are we going to demonstrate the capability of safely storing or taking care of the nuclear waste?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is, I think, on a country level, when it gets to low-level waste and waste we're talking about, this is a cultural thing, and enforcing the laws starts with the people themselves. I mean, the people have to be educated enough and know and mature enough to deal with this. In our case, it's a different story. We have a special fuel that we're dealing with, which is spent fuel. And the operator of the plant is obligated. It's the responsibility falls in the promoter, which is us, and the operator and the utility company. So it's not, we cannot say that if I don't take care of the crash, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be able to take care of the spent fuel. Spent fuel is contracts. They're in place, will be, to actually regulate and dispose of these fuels. It's a responsibility of an entity. So they will be asked in particular to do that. Whether one of the options we're looking at is actually to take back the fuel to the fuel manufacturing company. What they do reprocess there, and they'll bring it back after, you know how the fuel cycle goes? Of course, in the power plant, you use the fuel, you put it in the pool to cool down for 5 to 10 years to reduce the activity. And after that, you transport this fuel to somewhere. I would say in the United States, they use it on site. They use concrete silo, they put it there, they cap it, and they just keep it. In France, they reprocess it. And this is one of the options we're looking at. We're going to reprocess the fuel, separate the bad material from the good, reuse the good one, and the bad one, kind of glassify it and make some kind of a, what do they call it? Yeah, put it in glass and just in a permanent thing, and then bring it back to the country for a permanent disposal in a geologic setting. Now, so fuel security, nuclear fuel cycle and waste disposal is a major issue for us. And it's something that we are considering, something we're looking at. It's one of the things we put in our bids. What are you going to do with the waste? What are you going to do with the waste? We wanted to see a plan of dealing with this waste. We're not going to leave this waste outside. And again, it is the responsibility of the operator and the utility company. I agree with you. I'm a Jordanian also, and I see so many practices that shows irresponsible behavior towards things. But there's not direct relationship with that, with the nuclear spent fuel. This is a special precautions and special plans for that. So, yes, I'm sorry.
Mrs. Salti and then Basim, and then we stop questions. Is there any?
Take my food to go.
Well, I had last year a guest from America, from the West. I'm from the west of the U.S., Utah, and he's in charge of environment for the whole west of America. And my husband and I, we invited a group of environmentalists to speak, and the Minister of Environment, and to hear each one's point of views. And his message to Jordan, at that time he was just interested, coming from the airport, he said, well, how do you make your electricity in Jordan? That was his first question. And so all during his 2-week stay, his advice to Jordan was, do not go nuclear. You have so much sun in the world. and you're one of the top countries that has so much sun. He said because America, there was an agreement when they first put in the nuclear plants in America. They promised to find solutions for storing waste, as Karen said, that is the issue. And he said they have not found those solutions. And my brother is president of the emergency doctors of Utah. His biggest fear for the last many years has been the nuclear waste that Utah accepted without taking a vote from the people. These people in Washington, because there's money involved, and they accepted to store those wastes in our city, in our state, and too close to the populations. And his biggest worry is what happens when that nuclear waste is exposed. Security is definitely, I agree. Security is the issue. And if Utah can't get their act right, and by the way, there was a rocket that exploded in America and killed the people on board, a spaceship. They did not answer the call from the engineer in Utah who saw on the TV the problem of that spaceship, and it was not answered. If they can't handle things in Japan, and if they can't handle things, and all these at-risk nuclear plants in waste, nuclear waste, and there's all these plants at risk. You didn't mention all the plants at risk. The Jordan Times has a list of all the plants at risk in America. They're a large number, and there are a lot in California, for example. And we have these earthquake problems. And yesterday in the Jordan Times, it said 2/3 of this population in Jordan live within 50 kilometers of the fault lines of the Great Rift Valley. Now that in itself, and by the way, those are two fault lines. They are two faults that are only this far apart from each other. And this is too risky for our country. Why don't we jump over it? Of course, when you did this presentation, this was before Japan, obviously, because maybe these quotes would change now by these people, right? And maybe these charts would change. For example, last week, Japan said, we do not want to do any more nuclear plants. I follow the International Herald Tribune. They don't know the answers yet to their problems. Yes, this is today's International Herald Tribune. Japanese officials concealed or ignored the risks of the plants. And they have 6 plants there, right? Either hid or they had neglect. If they couldn't get their act together, we who can, I've been in 3 traffic jams in the last 48 hours with fuel trucks. And then we were promised that those fuel trucks would not be in the traffic jams. They would come at night. And I'm just terrified. What if somebody hits that fuel truck and I'm 5 cars ahead of it? So we have to become more realistic. We have to know what our limitations are in this country. While you were working in America for 22 years, I was working here in Jordan for 27 years for the government, for Save the Children, for the Royal Society for the Conservation of Nature. We have a problem in management. We have a problem in managing our water. We can't even stop people from to close the faucet. So how can we manage deathly? Water is not deathly. But these things are very dangerous that we're dealing with. And we have a responsibility not only to today's population, but to our grandchildren. We are not up to this. I've lived here. I include myself. And all I can do is read these newspaper articles. Safeguards failed in Japan. You know, there we are learning the whole world from Japan. They will not be in control. They hope they will be controlled by the end of 2011. They still don't know the answers. Why would we get into something so dicey when we can go to the new, let's jump over it. For example, in Israel, they want to bring in they have more money than we do, of course, but they want to bring all their cars, make them electric and have electric things and jump over the rest of the world. Let's jump. Let's not be Johnny come late. We're lucky we're Johnny come late. We are so lucky that we didn't have a nuclear plant up to now. You have all this experience in energy and all that. Let's go way above everybody else. let's not just follow along and be poor at something that the rest of the guys were so poor at. We know the quality of our staff. I can't convince the Egyptian out in the street or the Filipino in the home to save this water. Who will be the workers in those plants? They might be Egyptians. They might not even be Jordanians, right? And I don't know. I just think it is so dicey. It is such a worry since Japan. I think you need to redo your show now, compare it to, update it since February. Yes, these are old statistics. 2 years ago is 2,000 years ago. The whole world changed when the tsunami happened in Japan. Let's get up to date, and let's have also open discussions. We had a very interesting experience in Jordan. We had open discussions about the family law. I don't agree with what they decided on the family law, but I thought the process was very beautiful. It was a new way of Jordan, and it was before the uprisings. We beat the guys in Egypt, and we beat the people in Tunisia. They brought it, they tried to be very democratic. Where are the discussions that should happen before these contracts and these agreements are started and these projects are already on the ground? The projects need to be discussed. And also, I worked with the Royal Society for 7 years. It's nice to do this, the ERA, what you saw, the impact assessment, environmental impact assessment thing. Self is fine, but it's better if it's done by another group from outside, isn't it? This is what I understood as they were trying to put this into the process in Jordan. We're involved in many of these processes, but we just aren't there yet. We're trying to run before we can walk. Thank you. You're welcome.
I must say that Dr. Jihad's job is to protect us from somebody else's decision to install a nuclear plant in Jordan. So we appreciate what you're trying to do. I thank you all for attending. I'm sorry, no more questions. He has to eat. And I think it's 3:20.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.